Well, welcome back to another Wildly Better Quick Talk where we've been discussing flow for the last several videos. You know, one of the things that I've had the great privilege of doing is working with a couple of unbelievable creative teams. The creative team that I helped host for nearly 18 years did some of the most creative, off the map, things that had not been done before stuff that I've ever been a part of. I then spent 2011 working with a smaller but equally creative team in South Africa that was just, again, off the charts. And in both of those teams, I had the opportunity of absolutely unmistakably experiencing flow. I want to read you some statistics and let you see just how important flow can be. It takes about $25,000 to get the average person ready to be combat ready in our armed forces. It takes about $500,000 to get a Navy SEAL ready. But I want you to hear this. To get a group of 18 Navy SEALs ready to work together and to experience flow, 85 million. 85 million. You can find those statistics in the book Stealing Fire that I mentioned a few videos ago. Now, why 85 million? You got to be out of your mind. You're crazy, right? One of the greatest things that Navy SEALs at the most elite levels, like the DevGru group, is trying to do is they are trying to learn how to induce group flow. Group flow. And in the case of the elite troops with the Navy SEALs, group flow becomes an issue, much like extreme sports people, of life and death, right? Only much more hostile conditions, obviously. So what's the whole point of this little video on group flow? Well, here's the thing, wouldn't it be amazing if you could not only learn to drop into flow yourself, but create the conditions, the social triggers, where flow actually could happen for your team? So let me give you the few flow triggers that are absolutely necessary for your team to enter into flow. So the first flow trigger is this. There's got to be a deep, deep trust. Think about this in terms of Navy SEALs now. There's got to be a deep, deep trust that I am not in it for me, that I know you're not in it for you, and that we genuinely, collectively want to do something and create something. I've experienced that. You probably have too. I hope you have. But lots and lots of teams are very territorial. And so doing something in group flow becomes almost impossible. That's the first thing, this deep, deep trust. Second thing is there's a deep listening. There's ability to climb into the head of the person next to you. There's an ability with the people around the table to deeply listen, and over time that deep listening becomes almost intuitive. And the group can become operating as one. The group is experiencing transient hypofrontality. The thinking mind goes away and the birthing, emergent mind starts to take over. And all sorts of creative ideas happen. But it starts with deep listening. There's a third thing that is a social trigger, is that group, that creative group, begins to coin and develop their own language set. When certain words are used, everyone in the group knows and owns the word, but maybe somebody outside of the group wouldn't actually exactly know what that word means. It's very, very, very important that there's this emerging language set and these shared sense of values that everybody knows what they are. Oh yes, and this is very key. There's always communication. Onward, unfolding communication that always is a yes and. That the open white space of the canvas, there's always a yes and to add before there is a whittling down and a convergence to get rid of certain things. Those 4 flow triggers, gang, those don't get activated in one meeting. You're going to have deep trust, where I know we're in it together, and it's not about you and not about me, but about us and about the final product. When it's deep listening, really learning to listen, hard skill, man, hard skill. when it's about communication that's ongoing and unfolding and moves and has momentum, the group doesn't get stale, it doesn't get old, the meeting doesn't stall, somebody's able to facilitate and move it forward, so key. And that group familiarity, that group common language. I want to encourage you to, with your teams, begin talking about, do you want to get into flow? Because in flow, you're going to create all sorts of stuff you could never create if all you were doing is having the group operate in the prefrontal cortex. It just can't happen. The best stuff is not always right here. The best stuff is when these random connections not only get connected in my brain, but start to connect with stuff in yours. And that requires getting out of analysis and getting into the field and relaxing in that and trusting what's about to emerge. I hope this has been helpful. I hope it'll make your team wildly better. And I hope this material on flow will really help you dig in and get better at what you do.